channel. My name is Maddie, and in today's reading vlog, I am going to be reading thrillers for a week. I just recently purchased 4 thrillers that have been on my radar for a while, and I really want to read them. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. I am going to start with The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. This is her second thriller she's published. She is the host of Crime Junkie, which I don't think I've ever listened to that. I've listened to a few crime podcasts in the past, but that is a really popular one. Now, this book is about our main character, Nicole, whose sister went missing 7 years ago, and she basically vanished without a trace. There were hardly any clues, and the case eventually went cold. The only clue in her sister's case is that another girl went missing around the same time 2 weeks earlier. Now it's 7 years later, and Nicole's still in a dark place until the sister of the other girl that went missing at the same time as Nicole's sister comes back into the picture. And it seems like Jenna and Nicole band together to find out what happened to their missing sisters. It is only 250 pages, and last time I read an Ashley Flowers book, I devoured it in a few days. I will come back to you guys with my initial thoughts on this thriller.
I don't wanna call you later. You're tearing my heart up like it's paper, and somehow you turn to a stranger. We used to work, now I'm trying to make sure that we're both on the same page. I don't want it to complicate.
So it's been about 15 days since I filmed the intro for that video, and you guys probably don't need an explanation, but I'm going to explain what's going on in my life because it kind of explains why I haven't been reading. And I made that sound so dramatic. I literally was just traveling and now I'm sick, but I mean, let me tell the longer story because why not? I do love to yap. But now I'm back in Amsterdam and I'm going to have some free time to read this week. So the book I finished for this video, I actually don't have because I left it with Sam to bring back because he has bigger suitcases, and that is The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. And I actually finished it on my way to Savannah for my friend's bachelorette trip. So I honestly finished it in about 2 days, and it kept me hooked the entire time, and it was a pretty good mystery. I would consider it a mystery over a thriller because the main character in the story was working with another character to uncover her sister's disappearance. I wasn't completely shocked by the ending because halfway through the story I realized something about our main character that I thought could play into the ending, and I ended up being right about that. But the way it unfolded was still very interesting to me. And again, the last chapter really sent a shiver up my spine, which I love. I love when the ending sits with me. And although it wasn't a surprising ending, I was still a little like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. What am I talking about? Does any of this make sense? Anyway, I gave the book 3.75 stars. I don't know what I'm gonna read next, but I will let you guys know. It's going to be a thriller. Oh my gosh, my voice sounds awful. Hello everyone, I have not filmed for this vlog in a minute, and apparently I really love this sweatshirt because I know I filmed the intro in this, whatever. The point of this video was to read thrillers that I purchased and, you know, kind of narrow down my physical TBR, but I have a book on my Kindle that I want to read for this video, and then we'll go back to my physical TBR because I really do want to read Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell in this video. The book I'm reading on my Kindle is an ARC from NetGalley. NetGalley is a website where you can sign up to get ARCs, early releases of books, and all you have to do in return is leave a review on their website, and then I think on publishing day you have to post somewhere on Amazon, Goodreads, or something like that. And the more books you read and review, your statistics are better or something like that. Your feedback ratio goes up, and then you can request more popular books and actually be approved for them. I've requested 3 or 4 popular books. Well, I haven't even been allowed to request them technically. I've had to wish for them, which means I'm not qualified enough. Like, I don't have enough credit on the website yet. I really want to read this ARC so that way I can have 2 books reviewed, and then eventually get to my third book that I have out from them, and just, you know, keep building up my status on NetGalley because I want to get some of my favorite books early. Obviously the book I'm reading is a thriller. It's called The Castaways by Lucy Clark, and I'm so confused about this book because it says it's not coming out until January 6th, but if you go to Goodreads, it says it was published in 2021 and there are 20,000 ratings on there. But then there are reviews from a month ago where people are saying, oh, thanks to NetGalley for giving me this early. So I don't know, maybe it was never published back in 2021. Maybe the author completely changed it. Who knows? This is the summary of the book. 2 years ago, a small plane disappeared over Fiji. For Erin, it's been 2 years of obsessing over every detail, refusing to move forward even as life does. Her sister Lori was on that plane, and Erin was meant to be too. But after a bitter argument, she failed to show. Everyone thinks Lori is dead, but Erin can't let go. Just when Erin is on the verge of losing hope, the pilot of the missing plane turns up still in Fiji, seemingly with no memory of the crash. In a final bid to find her sister, Erin travels there herself, but what she discovers is beyond anything she could have predicted. Apparently this author is really popular. Million-copy best-selling author Lucy Clark. Hopefully this is better than the last arc I read on NetGalley, one of my least favorite books I've ever read. But that's not to say that every book on there is bad. Right now I'm 15% into the book, and it's way better than the last thriller I read on NetGalley. And I hope it stays that way. We'll update you guys later tonight. I really want to sit down and read this. I'm so pale. End up finishing The Castaways this weekend. I think I read it in 2 or 3 days. It's not like I flew through it because I loved it. I just ended up enjoying it and liking it. It's not like a favorite book of mine, but I forced myself to sit down and read it because, well, I was in the mood to read. I just didn't feel like reading that, but one, I'm filming this video, and two, I need to get my ratio, my score on NetGalley higher. Since I have 2 arcs out that I haven't read yet, my score plummeted, even though it was technically 100% before, because I read one book and reviewed it right away. So I finished it, updated my NetGalley. Your girl is slowly climbing her way to the top, and now I'm ready to talk about The Castaways. So I was confused earlier on if this was an arc because the book is already published, and then I realized that this is technically a reissue of the book. It has been published in the past, but reissues happen for a number of reasons. According to the internet, this is just based on my research, I could be wrong. Books will be reissued because of a new cover. I feel like that's the most common one. I'm always seeing my favorite books with new covers, or I guess it will be republished under a different publishing company. And then obviously it will be republished if the story changes or exclusive parts are added or just the story in general changes. So I'm not exactly sure why this one was reissued, but I am glad that I got to read it for free. And right away I was drawn into the story because of the summary. I will read anything that takes place on a remote island and it's a story of survival. I think that is so interesting to me. That's why I just read Wild Dark Shore. That takes place on a remote island, and it's why I loved Lost and The Wilds. If you guys have not seen that TV show, you need to go watch it right now. It's on Amazon. There are 2 seasons, and I wish they didn't cancel it before season 3 because the show and the cast was amazing. Anyway, back to the story. I would say the first 50% of the book wasn't that suspenseful. I found myself coming to the end of a chapter and not really wanting to continue reading because it wasn't like a typical thriller where there's always one last spooky sentence in a chapter that makes you want to continue reading. But since the writing wasn't bad and I was interested in the story, I obviously kept reading. And then once I got to the second half of the book, the chapters started ending with cliffhangers, which made me want to continue reading it. I think I read the last hour of the book in one sitting, didn't pick up my phone or anything because I was really invested. However, the answer to the story and the surprise ending didn't feel like much of a shock to me. It wasn't like I put this book down and I was in awe of what happened, but I did enjoy the journey of this story. I just wish we had more of like a crazy ending. And also there was this like low-key inspirational message at the end of the book that was not needed in a thriller at all. If anything, I'd rather be left on edge by a thriller than inspired. I would give the book 3 stars. It was a solid read and I would recommend it to people just because I do love the setting. Also, I would say that the characters were pretty well developed in this story for a thriller because I actually hated one of the characters so much, and it was a man. Not the sisters that are involved in this story. They were fine. That's how you know a character is well developed, when you can't stand him. And for another reading update, I did start Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell last night, and guys, I'm already on page 130. I could finish this today if I really wanted to. We'll see, because I don't want to stay up too late, but I really am enjoying this one so far. And again, I hate one of the male main characters, and that's why I want to continue reading, because I don't want him to get away with what he's doing. Let me read you the summary of the book before I continue talking. He's the perfect man. He says he loves you. You think he might even be made for you. Before long, he's moved into your house and into your heart, and then he leaves for days at a time. You don't know where he's gone or who he's with, and you realize if you looked back, you'd say to yourself, don't let him in. This book has 450 pages. She's pretty thick for a thriller, but the chapters are short and you can really fly through this. So let's see how far I can get today. Lisa Jewell just said girl dinner in this book. I don't know if I hate that or love that. I didn't know your game, Lisa. Didn't know you were on TikTok, girl. I finished Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell this morning. I started this on Sunday. It is Tuesday. This book was really entertaining, and the main male character that you follow is a psychopath. The entire book was just rage bait the whole time because of him, and for that reason I had to finish it and make sure that the women in this book got the revenge on him. I don't want to talk about that too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but I feel like you can't really spoil this type of book because I guess it's technically a psychological thriller, which is a subgenre of the thriller category, because this entire book you're inside the mind of a psychopath and seeing his insane and disturbing thoughts. And so you know what he's doing the entire book. You're just waiting to see if he's going to get away with it, and that's why I flew through it. I would give this book 3.5 stars. I started to give it 3 stars, but I was trying to compare this in the last book I read for this video, The Castaways, and I definitely enjoyed this one more. So I would say it's 3.5 stars. The main character was insufferable, but well developed for a thriller, and honestly in every thriller, most of the characters are going to be unlikable. There were many other characters as well in the story, but they were still easy to follow. It didn't have a crazy, shocking twist at the end of it, but since it was a psychological thriller, the whole book was kind of the journey, and you weren't waiting to see what happens at the end. You kind of already knew. Is any of this making sense? Do I ever know what I'm talking about? Most of the time when I read a thriller, I'm waiting for the ending, but this one, you knew what was going to happen. You just had to get there. It's not my favorite Lisa Jewell book, but it's also not my least favorite. I think I've read 4 books by this author. First book I ever read by her was Then She Was Gone, and I gave that book 5 stars. Don't know if I would feel the same about that today. Then I read None of This Is True, gave that 2 stars. I think I already talked about why. Basically, I didn't like the ending. I needed more from it. It's one of those where it leaves it up to interpretation, and I hate that. Give me the answers. Tell me what happened, because I don't want to figure this out myself. Then I read The Night She Disappeared by her, which no one talks about, well, I'm sure people talk about, but I haven't seen people talk about. I think that's my favorite one by her because that one was so good and the twist at the end was shocking. And then this is the fourth one I've read by her. I really liked the acknowledgements for this part. Lastly, thank you to all the utterly terrible men in this world. No, not you. Only good men read my books. For helping to bring the male main character to life in these pages. I've watched so many documentaries about men like you, listened to so many podcasts, read so many books. You are all appalling. How do you live with yourselves? What the hell do you think you're doing? Why do you behave like this? And believe me, I don't want to say like the main character's name because I don't know, it kind of spoils it. This person is not an outlandish literary confection. He could easily exist in this world. He does exist in this world. Please see below for some recommended reading, listening, and watching if you want to dig deeper into the psychology of men like him. And in the meantime, be careful who you let in. That's what makes this book all the more terrifying because men are terrifying. And then she has documentaries, podcasts, and books about psychopaths. For the documentaries, she includes the TikTok series, Who the F Did I Marry? That's crazy. And then she has the Tinder Swindler, the Puppet Master, Stolen Youth, which I don't really recognize the last two. I can't tell if I liked this book or the Ashley Flowers book more for this video, because although they are both thrillers, they were very different. This was a solid thriller. I think I might read one more for this video, so I will update you guys soon. Hey guys, I didn't know if I was going to include one more book in this video, but apparently I am because I started it yesterday and I'm already almost halfway through with it. The last thriller I'll be reading for this video is Pines by Blake Crouch. This is part of the Wayward Pines trilogy and it was adapted into a TV show and the TV show is now on Netflix. It's called Wayward and I want to read this before I watch the TV show. And the TV show and the book seem really different, but I think it's because the TV show includes all 3 books. I heard that rumor somewhere, I'm not exactly sure. But that would be crazy if that's the case, because what if you read the first book and then watch season 1 and you're like, wait a minute, that was the entire trilogy. I don't know. The TV show also looks scarier than the book. It looks really creepy. So who knows if I'll even end up watching it. I'll give it a chance, but if it's too scary, I'm not gonna finish it. So the premise of this book is Ethan Burke, a Secret Service agent, wakes up and he doesn't remember his name, where he is, what happened because he's injured. And somehow he finds his way to the hospital, and when he wakes up a second time, he remembers what happened. He remembers his name, what he was doing in Wayward Pines. He remembered that he was in a car accident, but he can't find any of his belongings and he can't make contact with his wife and his son and the outside world. So I'm trying to figure out what is going on in this supposedly perfect little town, and it's a thriller that you can't put down once you start it because you know you're not going to get answers until the end of the book. And I'm racing to figure out what's actually going on. I'm starting to think the main character is unreliable based on some information we've received, but I don't want to say too much. I don't know what's happening. Nothing is as it seems, and I really hope we get some answers in this book because I know it's part of a trilogy, but I need to know. I need to know a little something about what's going on. I'm going to go to my workout class, and when I get back, I'm binging this. It's so good so far. Guys, I finished Pines this morning, but I have something else to address before I get into that. I started a rumor. I started a scandal. I said something that was so not true yesterday, and what's even more embarrassing is I also said it on TikTok, and I also talked about it with everyone I know. But luckily for me, I only have 5 subscribers and even less followers on TikTok. So let me just tell you this little funny story about this book. I thought that the TV show Wayward that just came out on Netflix was the adaptation of this book. It's not. Why did I think that? Why did I think that? I saw one similar word because this is the Wayward Pines trilogy, and I thought that Wayward on Netflix was the same thing. It's not. It's completely different. And I should have known that. There were some red flags going off in my head because, like I said literally yesterday, and the TV show and the book seem really different, but I think it's because the TV show includes all 3 books. Oh, the trailer looks really different from the book. Yeah, no. It's a completely separate concept. How did that not click in my brain? But I have to say, there were some things that were similar with that TV show and this book. Like, since it was kind of a psychological thriller, spooky thing. So I'm not really completely at fault. And what really sent me in a spiral of believing that is I searched on Google a while ago, does season 1 of Wayward follow only book 1 in this trilogy? And there was an answer to it. It said no, it follows the entire trilogy. That's what kind of confused me because there was already information on it and information on Reddit. But what I didn't realize, this is the kicker, there's already a TV show for this book. So that information was correct, but it was about a different TV series that is literally 10 years old. You could have just done a little bit more research, Maddie. So there is a Wayward Pines TV show and it's called Wayward Pines. And there are 2 seasons. And for some reason, this right here, I thought this said now like a major TV adaptation or something. It says best-selling author of Dark Matter. This is not a TV adaptation sticker. So I'm sorry to anyone that I confused. Now back to my review of this book. I also forgot to mention I bought this book this weekend with my friend Ave. I was literally also telling her that she has to read this before she watches the TV show. Sorry, girl. My bad. I bought this weekend because I told myself I was going to read it before watching the TV show. And although the TV show has nothing to do with this, at least the new one, I did actually read it. So it's not like I'm adding to my physical TBR because I read this book right away. That's a win. I really enjoyed this book. It's a quick read. You'll fly through it because you want to know what's going on. There was a lot of action and I got the answers I wanted at the end of the book, but I definitely want to continue reading the trilogy because I looked up on Goodreads the ratings for the rest of the series and the second book has higher ratings than the first book, which is crazy because I even really enjoyed the first book. I will say there were some parts that slowed down for me, like when Ethan, our main character, was by himself for a chapter or 2. Since the chapters are long, I was thinking to myself I would need some human interaction, I need some dialogue in here, and it did slow down for me in that moment. But a solid read, a solid 4-star read. It honestly reminded me a lot of his other novel, Dark Matter, in some aspects, but I think I like this one more. And this is actually the highest rated book I read in this video out of the 4 thrillers, so that's exciting. I need to check the TV show out, the actual TV show. And you want to know the craziest part? I read 3 of these books in 6 days. 3 thrillers in 6 days. Am I okay? I need to read a fluffy romance book next. So although I did not read all of these in 1 week, and my first book was very spaced out due to travel and me being sick, I would say I accomplished this video. Really, I just wanted to get through some of my books on my physical TBR and get in the mood for fall. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe down below. I post new bookish videos every week and I would love it if you stuck around. Also hit the like button. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.